What if your greatest transformation doesn't come from chasing others, but from turning inward with ruthless discipline? Most people exhaust themselves trying to prove something to the world, but champions? They build in silence. They choose growth over validation. They choose depth over attention. When you channel your energy inward, you sharpen your focus. You quiet the noise. You become unstoppable. The difference between being busy and being impactful is focus. So shut out the noise. Put your attention where it matters, on your own evolution, and don't stop until you break through. In just a moment, I'll show you how turning your focus inward can generate real power, clarity, and momentum. Enough to change everything. Every man searches outward for recognition, for applause, for some sign he's becoming more. But what if the real evidence isn't external at all? What if the real proof lies in what you say to yourself when no one's watching? You've been told to chase money, status, relationships, but none of it matters if the man inside is scattered and undisciplined. The real race begins the moment you stop watching others and start correcting your own steps. Why? Because focus is power. It's the rudder of your life. It steers your future. If your attention is split in every direction, you go nowhere. But when it locks in, fully it becomes unstoppable. What does that look like? It's the man who turns off the world for a season and gets to work. Like a craftsman perfecting a masterpiece in solitude until the world can't ignore it. Ask yourself, are you building or are you distracted by watching others build? Are you feeding your roots or are you decorating a dying tree? The man who looks inward first. Eventually, the world will align itself around his inner strength. Start there. Stay there. Win from there. Build a fortress around your attention, because your attention is gold. Protect it like it's under siege. Every distraction, every comparison, every sideways comment, they're arrows aimed at your purpose. Keep a row, but you must hold the line, because the man who defends his focus builds a future others only dream of. Whatever holds your attention controls your outcome. If it's gossip, you shrink. If it's regret, you freeze. But if it's purpose, you rise. Died. So how do you protect your focus? You choose what enters your mind. You choose your conversations. You say no more often. You cut distractions. You stop justifying your path to people who aren't walking it with you. Picture a farmer who spends every morning watching his neighbor's field. He forgets his own crops. And when harvest comes, he's left with envy and empty hands. Now imagine you. What could you grow if you gave your energy back to you? This isn't selfish. It's sacred. It's the birthplace of everything great. Focus isn't optional, it's survival. So what will you do with it? Will you let it slip, or will you forge something unbreakable with it? Consistency is your weapon. Not goals, not hype, repetition. Most men don't fail from lack of dreams. They fail from lack of rhythm. They start like fire. And then fizzle when it gets hard, when it gets boring. But the one who keeps walking after the excitement fades, he becomes something different. He becomes undeniable. Every silent act, every quiet repetition, it's building you. You don't rise to the level of your ambitions. You fall to the level of your habits. That's the line most men never cross. They chase motivation when they should be building discipline. A wise man doesn't wait to feel ready. He creates rhythm. He builds a schedule and follows it like it's law. When emotion says stop, principle says go. When comfort says later, conviction says now. Be like the blacksmith. He doesn't strike the iron once and expect results. He swings again and again and again until it bends. Be that consistent with your craft. Build with your character. Is your calling. Life doesn't surrender to the curious. It yields to the committed. So ask yourself, are you flirting with success or forging it? Are you making plans or making progress? The man who becomes dangerously consistent, who keeps showing up no matter what. He becomes more than discipline. He becomes inevitable. Time bends for that kind of man. Even fate has no choice but to take notice. Let others chase excitement. You chase mastery, because in the end, the world doesn't reward potential. It rewards proof. And proof is born from repetition. Now let's talk about your greatest enemy. It's not outside, it's inside. It's that voice in your head. It whispers like it cares, but it only holds you back. You're not ready. You're not enough. Who do you think you are? It doesn't scream, it familiarizes. It sounds like you. It uses your own fears against you. But here's the truth. That voice is a liar. It's not protection, it's paralysis. It chains you with your own memories. But it has no power unless you agree. So how do you silence it? Don't debate it, drown it out. Declare what's true, write it down, speak it aloud, daily, again and again until it becomes louder than the doubt. Become your own coach, not your critic. Don't rehearse what's wrong. Reinforce what's right about you. Use your words like weapons. Speak with intention. Speak your values, your goals, your identity, until the inner saboteur loses its grip. And surround yourself with people who reflect your strength, not your fear. Not echoes of insecurity, mirrors of courage. Find those who challenge you to grow, who remind you that you're not alone in this fight. Because in the end, it's not applause that builds you. It's silence, discipline, and relentless focus. Now go, sharpen your edge, and don't stop until you're undeniable. For no man wins a war by himself. You are not failing, you are forging. You are not behind, you are becoming, just as a blade is hammered and heated before it shines. So too must your soul be tested before it triumphs. But feels like delay is often divine preparation, and what feels like defeat is often disguised development. Picture a captain in the middle of a storm. The waves rise. The crew panics. Fear spreads like fire. But the captain does not shout in fear. He speaks above the storm. He holds the will. He sets the course. He commands. That's who you must be. Will you be the crew, reactive, scattered, overwhelmed? Or will you be the captain of your own mind? The voice of fear will always knock. But it is you who decides if it gets a seat at the table. Until you conquer the inner voice, no outer victory will last. You can win the deal, earn the praise, gain the success. But if your own mind is against you, peace will escape you. So quiet the lie, amplify the truth. Don't just think it, declare. Don't just hope for strength, train it. Build your inner voice like a warrior builds his sword, with focus, with practice, with fire. Because once your mind believes, your life will follow. And when the truth in you becomes louder than the lie, there will be no storm you cannot command. Walk alone until you attract. Try. You want support. That's natural. You want applause. That's human. You crave connection, affirmation, a circle that sees you. But don't beg for it. Don't chase the hand that won't clap unless you shrink yourself. Earn your tribe by first becoming someone who doesn't need one to stand tall. How? By walking alone. Not forever, but long enough for the walk itself to change you. When you carry your fire in solitude, it grows brighter, steadier, unstoppable, and that fire, it becomes a beacon. The right people do not need convincing. They are drawn to light. This truth is hard because it cuts against our oldest instinct, the need to belong. From childhood, you were wired to fit in, to avoid rejection, to win approval. But there is a cost to this craving. The man who rushes into every crowd in search of warmth often forgets the fire within. He conforms, he mimics, he loses himself, until he's not even sure what his own voice sounds like. Before you become social, you must become solid. Before you seek acceptance, you must seek alignment. Alignment with what? With your values, your vision, your voice. This is not arrogance. This is foundation. You do not become valuable by being seen. You become seen by becoming valuable. So, how do you start? Choose solitude. Not loneliness, solitude. Loneliness is emptiness. Solitude is presence. It is the forge where greatness is made. Use it to think deeply. Act deliberately. Train consistently. Let it sharpen your instincts and strip away your noise. Get so clear on your mission that distractions find you boring. Picture a lion among sheep. The lion does not beg the herd to crown him king. He does not explain himself. He does not lower his roar to comfort their ears. He stands in his strength, and the right ones recognize it. So must you. Ask yourself, are you shrinking your spirit to be accepted by groups who do not value your essence? Are you softening your voice to blend in with a chorus of confusion? Or are you willing to be misunderstood for a time until you are respected? Understand this. The road of solitude is not a curse. It is the training ground. It is where kings are made. It is where voices are refined and resolve is built. When you stop fearing the lonely path, you begin to own it. And the man who owns the road eventually commands the crowd. So walk it with your head high, with your spine straight, with your purpose in hand. Let your silence be your training. Let your discipline be your declaration. Let your life become proof that you did not need permission to become powerful. Because one day they will come. The ones who resonate, the ones who rise. And they will not ask, "Can I follow you?" They will simply fall into step. Because real tribe is not found, it is drawn. And only those who have walked alone can lead others with strength. Let the lonely road refine you, not define you. Be willing to walk it. And soon you won't just find a tribe, you'll lead one. You owe you everything. No mentor, no partner, no miracle. That may sound harsh, but it is the highest form of freedom. Because once you stop waiting for rescue, you start building your own ladder. You start becoming the answer. The moment you take full ownership of your life, you take back your power. Not just emotionally, but practically. You stop asking why me and start asking what now. Why is this shift so powerful? Because the man who blames, delays, he transfers his power to his past. But the man who takes charge accelerates. He becomes a force of movement. He refuses to let excuses outlive his dreams. He understands this truth. If your vision is sacred, your excuses must be sacrificed. So what does it mean to owe yourself everything? It means doing the work when no one claps, waking up early when no one tells you to, holding yourself to a higher standard, not because someone is watching, but because you are. It means choosing the hard thing before the easy one. Discipline over comfort, purpose over pleasure. It means showing up as your future self now. Stop waiting for motivation. Create it. Motivation is a result, not a requirement. Action comes first. Motion breeds emotion. When you move, clarity comes. Strength follows. Stop asking for permission. Claim it. The life you want will not be handed to you. It will be forged by you. One decision at a time. Picture a builder standing before a vacant lot. There is no applause, no blueprint, just a vision and a will. He starts with one brick, then another. Every brick is a promise. Every strike of the hammer is a vow. He does not wait for help. He becomes help until one day a castle stands where emptiness once ruled. Will you lay your bricks, or are you still waiting for someone else to bring the cement? The truth is this. Every result in your life is a reflection of the standard you've allowed. If you tolerate mediocrity, you live in it. If you demand excellence, you rise into it. So raise the standard. Not tomorrow, now. Not when you feel like it, especially when you don't. Because every day you delay is a day you deepen the gap between who you are and who you could be. You owe you. Not your past, not your pain, not your doubt. You owe your future. The one waiting for you to show up. The one asking, are you ready to stop watching and start building? You want transformation? Then stop outsourcing responsibility. Take the pen. Write your path. Lay your bricks. Stack your proof. This life is your construction site. It is messy. It is slow. It is silent. But every nail you drive, every hour you commit, every choice you master, builds the fortress of a man who is unshakable. You don't need saving. You need structure. You don't need approval. You need execution. And when you understand that you owe you everything, changes. Not because the world gets easier, but because you get stronger. Now, prove it. Your standards determine your story. Your life will never rise higher than your standards. Not your dreams, not your intentions. Your standards. Because while dreams may lift your eyes to the sky, only standards train your feet to walk the path that gets you there. A man may speak of greatness, but if his standards are low, his actions will betray him. And life will always echo action, not ambition. Dreams inspire, yes, but standards build. And the man who builds high must first dig deep. He must declare to himself not once, but daily, this is my line. This is who I am. For the man who sets a high standard and never breaks it becomes like a fortress. Life may strike, storms may howl, but the walls do not shake, because the foundation was never negotiable. Get back to work. Build the standard. Own your pace. Fortify the mind. Why does this matter? Because when adversity strikes, you don't magically rise to the occasion. That's a comforting lie. You sink to the strength of your systems. And your systems are only as solid as the standards you live by. Not the ones you post online, but the ones you obey in the dark when no one's watching. So how do you raise those standards? Start with one non-negotiable, just one, and protect it with everything you've got. Say no to shortcuts. Say no to just this once. Say yes to who you've chosen to become. Because when you protect your standard starts protecting you. It becomes a shield, a force, a reputation built not by noise, but by proof. Refuse the easy road. Reject what chips away at your core. Deny what gives you comfort now if it robs your future. The man who builds with integrity brick by brick, day by day, he becomes unshakable. He doesn't flinch when mocked. He doesn't vanish when it hurts. He keeps showing up, rain or shine, until his consistency becomes his legacy. People feel his presence. They trust his name, because deep down they know he does not break his line. And that, in a world of shortcuts, becomes rare, becomes power. But ask yourself honestly, who are you behind closed doors? Not the version you promote, but the one you live with in silence. That man is writing your story, not the dreamer, the decider. And here's the truth. You don't need permission to raise your standard. You don't need approval. You just need you to decide. Because once you choose the higher floor, life starts rising to meet it. You don't need to impress. Just hold the line. And one day, without saying a word, people will say it. Warben. They'll feel it. They'll know. There walks a man who built his life from standard, not hype. Your pace is your power. They told you to move faster, to keep up or get left behind, but no one warned you that speed without direction is a fast track to regret. It feels like progress, but it's often just panic in disguise. It burns you out, steals your peace, pulls you off your path, because the moment you match their pace, you abandon your path. And in that exchange, your purpose dies. Comparison isn't fuel. It's corrosion. It eats away at your clarity until your journey doesn't even feel like yours anymore. But the man who knows his pace, he owns his future. He's not rushing to impress. He's not shaken when others pass him, because he knows life isn't a sprint. It's a rhythm, and rhythm wins what speed never could. Why is rhythm powerful? Because it preserves your energy. It guards your peace. It protects your focus. Real mastery isn't built in bursts. It's earned in stride, in the slow, unglamorous, faithful repetition of depth over distraction. So how do you find that rhythm? Turn down the world's volume. Turn up your inner voice. Stop chasing noise. Stop building signal. Design days that build depth, not just busyness. Choose one difficult thing, then do it with excellence. Let every action be a brick. Let every day be your foundation. Picture a man sprinting at mile 1 of a marathon. He flies, then fades. But the one who paces with purpose, he endures, he finishes, he laughs. Because it's not about being fast. It's about being faithful. So ask yourself, are you racing on their schedule? Or are you building your own legacy on your time, your way? What if your pace is not slow, but strategic? What if your timing is not delayed, but divine? Don't chase speed. Chase alignment. Don't race to be noticed. Walk with power until you can't be ignored. Mindset makes the man. Your mind isn't just a tool. It's the throne. Whatever rules there rules your life. Fear or faith. Excuse or discipline. Sarah, they all begin inside your mind. Because the mind is not passive. It is the architect. It builds the frame you live in. Every decision, every reaction, every direction starts with what you believe. If you shape your thoughts, you shape your life. But most men lose before they even begin, because their inner voice declared defeat before they took the first step. You must take command. Flood your thoughts with truth. Not flattery, not hype, but unshakable, unchanging truth. Audit your thoughts. Who's speaking in your mind? A coward or a champion? You don't defeat the inner enemy by ignoring him. You beat him by replacing him, by becoming your own voice of strength. You're uncoached. Speak truth to yourself until it echoes louder than fear. Build identity not from inheritance, but from habit. Every time you choose. Discipline over ease. Conviction over excuse. Clarity over chaos. You cast a vote for the man you're becoming. Discipline doesn't require a mood. It requires a decision. Faith isn't a feeling, it's a choice. Picture a warrior. He sharpens his sword each morning, not because a battle is guaranteed, but because it might come. He prepares in peace, so he's ready in pressure. You must do the same. But your weapon isn't a blade. It's your mind. And every thought you carry, it's either sharpening you or dulling you. So ask yourself, are your thoughts building your fortress or inviting your downfall? The mind must become unshakable, anchored in truth, built through repetition. Because until your mind becomes your stronghold, you'll fight every battle twice. Once in your head and again in the world. And too often, you lose the first one. So build it, brick by brick, belief by belief, until pressure can't shake you, until praise doesn't swell you, until silence doesn't scare you, until your mindset becomes the very ground your greatness stands on. It will knock, it will tempt, it will press against the gates of your discipline, but it will not enter. Because the throne has been claimed, the ruler is awake, and the kingdom of your life is now under rightful rule. Delayed gratification is how unbreakable men are made. But you've been tricked into chasing now, craving fast wins, living for quick likes and shallow praise. You've been trained to believe urgency is a virtue and applause is the measure of value. But here's the truth. Nothing legendary is built in the short term. Not character, not greatness, not legacy. The world sells shortcuts, but purpose takes the long way. There are no detours on the path of meaning. It demands patience. It rewards discipline. It honors the one who waits. The man who wins long is the one who delays now. He isn't addicted to the thrill of the moment. He is anchored in the vision of what could be. He doesn't feast just because he's hungry. He builds because he is called. And that's rare, because it requires pain. It means saying no when everyone else says yes. It means embracing discomfort in silence while the crowd laughs in ignorance. But this is the mark of every great man. He does not trade the future for the present. He builds the present for the future. His name becomes, not because he rushed, but because he endured. Because and let the man you become be the result of the structure you built, not the feelings you followed. Comparison is a trap with no exit. Every time you measure yourself against another man, you lose momentum. You think it's motivation, but it's misery. You trade clarity for frustration, progress for paralysis. Comparison is not fuel, it's a leak. Slow drain on your energy, your joy, your voice. When you chase echoes, you forget your own sound. You run a race never meant for you. You aim at their target, you abandon your own. And you can win their game and still lose your life. Their timeline is not yours. Their struggle, their success, it was never meant to be copied. Their fight was built for them. Yours is built for you. But still, we scroll, we compare, we shrink. Because validation feels safer than vision. Validation is instant, but vision, that takes courage. So how do you escape the trap? You start building, You stop performing. You write your own scorecard. You define your own win. You stop asking what the world claps for and start asking what your soul craves. Edie, you weren't made to impress. You were made to align. An alignment doesn't need permission. It just needs clarity and action. So build, brick by brick, day by day, until the prophecy is fulfilled. Comparison is a silent thief. Every time you measure yourself against another man, you don't gain perspective, you lose power. You believe you're gaining drive, but you're actually draining your focus. You give away your momentum for frustration, your clarity for confusion, your peace for pressure. Comparison doesn't push you forward, it slows you down. It's not motivation, it's corrosion. A quiet leak in your spirit. It saps your strength, clouds your mind, and worst of all, it silences your voice. Because when you're too busy watching someone else's highlight reel, you forget your own rhythm. You start chasing echoes. You run someone else's race. You aim at their target. And in doing so, you abandon your own calling. You can win their game and still lose yourself. Their journey isn't yours. Their pace, their timing, their victories and setbacks, they were never meant to be yours. Just like your path, your storms, your breakthroughs are custom fit for you. Yet we scroll, we watch, we compare. Why? Because being liked feels easier than being aligned. Because approval is fast, but purpose takes faith. And so we trade vision for validation. We shrink ourselves to fit in their applause. And slowly, we stop building, we start performing. So how do you break out? You return to the foundation. You write your own rules. You create your own scorecard. You stop asking, what will they cheer for? And start asking, what does my soul need to build? You weren't designed to compete with everyone. You were designed to complete something. Your mission doesn't need to match theirs. Your calling doesn't need an audience. Alignment doesn't ask for permission. It demands conviction. It doesn't wait for applause. It creates without. You don't need to be loud to be powerful. You need to be clear. You need to act. Picture two craftsmen, one copying, one creating. Only one of them is building something real. The winds will shift. Seasons always do. But the man rooted in conviction doesn't need to chase what's meant for him. He remains still, firm in his truth, and lets the world find its place of trudge around him. Your energy is your calling card, not your schedule, not your wallet. It's your most priceless asset, because wherever your energy flows, your life follows. It powers your dreams, fuels your habits, and shapes every interaction. Yet most men waste it recklessly, draining themselves through petty talk, empty habits, and distractions that deplete instead of build. We think we're managing time, but time without energy is just empty space. What good is an open hour if you're too drained to use it? What good is opportunity if your spirit's too exhausted to grab it? That's why protecting your energy is non-negotiable. When you're fueled, everything feels possible. Clarity comes, momentum builds, strength returns. But when you're running on empty, even the smallest action feels like a burden. Your purpose seems distant, your ambition fades. Not because it's lost, but because you're too tired to reach for it. So, how do you guard your power? Cut off the drains. Walk away from empty talk. Set boundaries with people who take more than they give. Cut habits that drain your edge. Because every small leak, every "it's not that bad" adds up. Your mission is too valuable to sacrifice for distractions. Guard your first hour like sacred space. Don't wake up reacting. Wake up building. Move your body. Read something that lifts you. Write what's on your heart. Fuel before you face the noise. Beyond the morning, stay close to what fills your soul. Seek out people who challenge you. Say yes to what energizes. Say no to what slowly dims your fire. This isn't selfish, it's responsibility. Picture yourself as a fire in a freezing forest. That flame is your life force. If it's fed, it gives light, warmth, hope. If neglected, it dies. And with it, so does every possibility you carry. Just ask yourself, where are you sending energy that gives nothing back? What efforts are pouring into dead ends? What if you turned that effort inward? Not to indulge, but to prepare, to rebuild, to reignite. Because your destiny isn't waiting on the version of you who's barely hanging on. It's waiting for the one who shows up, charged, focused, and relentless. The one who keeps their fire burning for what matters. The one who chooses meaning over motion. Energy isn't infinite, but it is renewable. If you honor it. Joe? Bold Jacket, Edwin and Margaret. Let libidemon seclus on, schoolgird light fission. The dark hunters, queer bastard, Blucktungle. Let all be gone. You won't always feel ready. Most days, you won't. You'll be tired, uncertain, unmotivated. That's where the separation begins. Between those who dream and those who do. Acting when it's easy, anyone can do that. But real transformation happens when you move despite the friction. That's where your power grows, in the struggle, in the silence, in the unseen effort. Why is that power hidden? Because comfort screams louder than conviction. Excuses wear disguises. They sound like logic. They sound like care. The whisper, you deserve a break, when what you really deserve is a breakthrough. And each time you move anyway, you teach yourself something essential. I'm not ruled by how I feel. I'm led by what I believe. That rewires your identity. You become consistent, grounded, disciplined. Not the man who waits for the storm to end, but the one who builds through it. How? Set the plan, then treat it like a vow. Not a hope, not a maybe, a non-negotiable promise. When the alarm rings, you don't bargain. When it's time to move, you don't check your mood. You already chose. The path was set before the feeling ever arrived. Let your emotions speak, but never let them steer. You are the driver, and you stay loyal to the mission, not because it's easy, but because it's yours. Picture a soldier rising before dawn. There's no applause, no attention, just duty. He doesn't wait for motivation. He moves because he's trained to, because he committed. That's the difference, mission over mood. Ask yourself, are you still waiting to feel ready, or are you ready to feel resistance and move anyway? Because the man who keeps going, tired, unsure, uncomfortable, doesn't just finish the task. Becomes a different man. Every rap, every step, every word written against the resistance says, and becoming unshakable. That's where greatness is born, not in comfort, but in resistance. When the body says quit, but the spirit keeps going. When the world says pause, and your heart says press on. To rise, train, write, build. Return to your purpose. Feel the resistance and move anyway. Because the man who can do that can do anything. What you tolerate becomes your reality. Life doesn't hand you what you wish for. It gives you what you allow. Not your intentions, not your goals, but your minimum standard. Every time you tolerate disrespect, laziness, disorganization, you confirm it. You reinforce it. Eventually, what used to be unacceptable becomes normal. That's how most men drift into mediocrity. Not because they lack skill, but because they've made too many deals with comfort. They've settled. They've lowered their expectations to fit their environment instead of raising their environment to match their vision. Why is this law so powerful? Because it forces truth. Your life reflects what you've allowed. You can blame your past, your boss, the system. But nothing changes until your standards do. True change doesn't start with better conditions. It starts when you demand better of yourself, when you stop accepting average, when you shrink the list of what you'll tolerate. Start with a brutal audit. Look at your habits. Do your mornings reflect your ambition? Look at your space. Does it support focus or create chaos? Look at your body. Are you respecting it or neglecting it? Look at your circle. Do they elevate you or excuse your stagnation? Then ask, what am I putting up with that insults my potential? That question alone can shift everything. Raise your minimums. Draw the line. Declare what's no longer allowed. Because average loves the man who keeps making exceptions. Don't let that man be you. Discipline respects the man who knows where to draw the line. And life will challenge that line. It will test your limits, pressure you to compromise, and urge you to fold. But you must remain firm, not with ego, but with integrity. Because the future you desire won't arrive through chance. It will come to the one who refuses to settle. Grudge. Set your new standards without guilt. You don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't have to justify your growth. Let your consistency be your message. Let your habits show others what's no longer acceptable in your life. Think of yourself as the gatekeeper of a kingdom. You don't need to yell or chase people down. You simply decide who gets in and who doesn't. Let chaos through the gate and everything falls apart. Guard the gate and the treasure stays protected. That gate is your standard, and you are the one responsible for keeping it strong. Ask yourself, are you protecting your standards or hoping things will fix themselves? Are you reacting to life or leading it? Because what you allow today becomes your reality tomorrow, and over time, that reality becomes your identity. Choose with care. The man who honors his values builds a life others admire, but few can replicate. Not because he had better luck, but because he stayed loyal to his best self. Setbacks will happen. You will stumble. You will fall short. Good. That means you're in the game. You're showing up, not hiding, and that alone puts you ahead of most. But hear this clearly. Failure is not final. It's a tough chapter, yes, but it's also the best teacher. It reveals what success conceals. It exposes weaknesses, not to shame you, but to sharpen you. So why do some fall apart when they fail? Because they confuse a mistake with identity. They think, I failed, and believe it means, I am a failure. That lie poisons everything. But falling isn't a sentence. It's a signal. It tells you where to strengthen. If you have the courage to look again, Failure becomes feedback. It becomes direction. It becomes power earned through experience. The man who grows is not the one who avoids defeat, but the one who learns from it. He reflects, he recalibrates, and he returns stronger. He doesn't take it personally. He treats it professionally. He doesn't spiral. He strategizes. He understands failure is data, not defeat. So how do you turn failure into fuel? Ask better questions. Not why me, but what can I learn? Not what will people think, but what must I improve? Every setback holds a lesson if you're willing to examine it, first emotionally, then logically. Remember, the setback isn't your end, it's your setup. If you're willing to look twice, to stand up and keep moving when others quit, that's the difference between mediocrity and mastery. Wear your scars with pride, not as shame, but as proof that you endured. Each failure is a lesson. Each loss is a lesson. And the man who gets up and feeney, imagine a chess master losing a vital piece. He doesn't flip the board. He studies the game. He recalculates. He sacrifices short-term pride for long-term victory. That's why he wins, because he stays in the match. Ask yourself, have you been using failure as an excuse to quit or as a reason to level up? Are you letting it become your ceiling or using it? Shares is always greater than the one who never tried. Your comeback is not luck, it's your choice. Legacy isn't something you leave behind when you're gone. It's something you're creating right now, moment by moment, choice by choice. Chai Jiang. Legacy isn't something you leave behind when you're gone. Legacy isn't something you leave behind when you're gone. Legacy. It's not a trophy at the end or a speech at your funeral. Legacy is in how you treat people, how you keep your word, how you lead with love and strength. It's not about being known by millions. It's about being remembered by the ones who mattered. Legacy is the impression that remains when you're no longer in the room. So today counts more than you think. Every conversation, every promise you keep, every time you say no to what doesn't serve you, it matters. These are the bricks that form the foundation of your character. You won't build legacy through big moments, but through small, consistent actions. How you show up when no one's watching. That's what lives beyond you. Will you tell the truth or remain quiet? Will you show up early or keep hitting snooze? Will you choose courage even when it's inconvenient or choose comfort? These choices become the story others tell about you. Think of yourself as a builder laying a foundation. There's no crowd, no applause, just quiet, steady work. Each brick you lay matters, and one day, what you've built will stand tall for the world to see. Your daily life is the blueprint of your legacy. Every act of integrity, every time you raise your standard instead of lowering it. That's what becomes your monument. Ask yourself, when your name is spoken in rooms you're not in, what will it mean? Will it carry weight? Will your children remember you as the one who showed up, not perfectly, but consistently? Will your community feel your impact, not because you made noise, but because you made a difference? These aren't burdens. They're reminders. Legacy doesn't happen someday. It's built now, through effort, through discipline, through presence. You don't need to make grand gestures. You need to stay faithful to your principles. Choose what's right, even when it's hard. Wake up before the world demands your time and give your energy to purpose. Stand firm when it would be easier to fold. Legacy is born in the quiet decisions, the ones no one sees, the ones that shape who you are becoming. It's not flashy, but it's powerful, because it demands you be present. It demands you stop watching and start building. And though the world may not give you praise, it will remember. It will echo your name long after your voice is gone. So ask yourself, what are you building? What story will your name tell? You don't stumble into a legacy, you craft it. One decision at a time, and the time to start is now. Stop watching others grow while you stay stuck. Focus inward. Build your mind. Sharpen your skills. Fuel your power. Block out the noise. Forget the comparisons. Set a higher standard and refuse to quit halfway. You owe yourself the finish line. Commit to yourself fully until there's nothing left to prove. Then go further.